Alright, hey everyone, GameBrain here, and today I will be trying something a bit different, of course unscripted as usual, but we will be doing some speed duels game reviews from Dueling Book Rated. As a quick background, and then we'll get into the game, I've really been seriously playing speed duels for the past 8-ish months now. I mean, I've been playing this mode casually for years, but the past 8 months I really decided to sit down and get into speed duels, and it's a great community. I've had a lot of fun playing in weekly events, larger events, playing rated, playing for fun with people, and it's been a great experience. And Ryan Atlas is doing a great job covering the tournament side of things. So I thought it would be cool to record some DB rated matches, and if people like it, I can totally do more, and we'll see where we go from there. So if you enjoy watching DB rated, let me know. If you want me to review a specific Speed Duels match, let me know as well. I'm more than happy to review any game, and I hope you enjoy. So let's take a look at our game today. We have username here versus userly. We are going to be seeing the skill cards. It's going to be userly on Battle City Bestie, and username is going to be on Small Roid Big City, which is the Roids skill card. And it is treated as a field spell, so for all purposes it will be able to be popped and interacted with like a field spell going forward in the game. We see userly open Blast with Chain, DD Warrior Lady, Gearfried, and Enemy Controller, and we see username open Cyclone, Quaking, and Drillroid. Alright, let's see how the game pans out. We are going to see a T-set pass from username, and let's see what userly responds with. I'm going to set 3, and will they hit in? They go ahead and hit in over the Drillroid. And username will early on use the Quaking in anticipation that there is very likely an equip trap set in the back row, and will indeed set that Gearfried. Of course, getting the free draw with Battle City Bestie. Card Trooper is drawn. Card Trooper is an incredibly interesting card in Roids. It has very good synergy with a skill card, very good synergy with Supply Squad. The dream is you put down Supply Squad, summon Card Trooper, mill 3 to fill the graveyard for the fusion summon later on, and then you pop Card Trooper with the skill, search any road you want, and draw 2 on top of that. But of course, that is an ideal dream, and also leaves you very open and very vulnerable. So let's see what username decides to do. Galaxy Cyclone, popping a random set. Summon the Card Trooper. Will we see the mill? Thinking on the summon. What could be responded here? I guess it could be Enemy Controller, but there isn't really many plays userly can do to respond. Mill 3, milling the Quaking. And milling the Submarine Roid. A very good card for the deck, limited to 1, can attack directly. So that's going to boost up the Card Trooper to 1900. And the Galaxy Cyclone will be set, perhaps trying to bait something, or not wanting to commit to another random pop. Alright, in the battle phase, Card Trooper hits in, and the Enemy Controller will not be activated. The Gearfried can't be really flipped back anyway because of Quaking, so not much chance to protect it there. Alright, so we draw Kunai, Gearfried, Warrior Lady leave a hand right now, another Gearfried summon. This also enables the second Blast with Chain to be used instantly since it's being set last turn. The Kunai will be set, battle phase, hitting into the set card. Damage step. We will see the Blast with Chain come out. And indeed it will get to pop 2. Popping the skill card and the Drillroid. Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me. I think the other pop was the Card Trooper, actually. The Drillroid was popped from battle. And we will get the draw 1 from the Card Trooper, and there is the Supply Squad we talked about earlier, but this is looking a bit rough right now for username, as we can see, and that Sphere Karibo off the top will not be doing much. Galaxy Cyclone pop the Econ, and just passes. Here we'll see set of the all back row and DD Warrior Lady and Gearfried hitting in. Will the Sphere Karibo be used? No. It will not. Draw Steamroid. Steamroid can go up to 2.3k attack during the damage step, hitting into the Gearfried, but a plethora of options in the back for user lead. Going to get kunai'd with Chained, and surprisingly, the kunai will not be used here, the effect of Gearfried, to pop the supply squad. Userly will instead opt to keep the Gearfried active, even though with our information, even through Sphere Karibo, it does seem reasonable that if you just offerings the Steamroid, it should be game here. But let's see how it plays out. Instead, we are going to hit in to the Steamroid, which gives our opponent the out to survive with the Sphere Karibo. Interesting. So username will opt to send the Steamroid to grave and instead Sphere Karibo the DD Warrior Lady. I wonder if that was an accurate play. Username probably wanted the draw from the supply squad here, but it really did feel like an awkward play. I also think userly with the offerings could have actually activated the effect of Gearfried to summon the Gearfried in main phase and have 3 monsters and attempt to pop with offerings. I think there were actually a lot of outs here that result in userly getting game here, but nevertheless, everyone makes minor misplays in the heat of the moment. Warrior Lady gets set, and we draw with Bestie. However, I don't think this is enough for username. Similarly here, we see the summon of the Car Trooper, gets booked, set the soul, small lag problem, classic Duel book, looking for another Gearfried, and somewhere here the game should come to an end with 3 monsters. We will finally see the offerings come out, even though user draws 2, userly attacks for game. Right, let's look at game number 2. Both players have an opportunity to decide between games to change the outcome, and we see Banisher of the Radiance, as well as Truck Road coming out. Truck Road likely in the main deck. Usually begins the game by setting Kunai and Quaking with the summon of the Banisher. Very notable interaction. Small Roid Big City does indeed send 1 Roid monster from deck to graveyard in order to switch the original attack and defense of the monsters during the battle part of the skill, and you cannot send to graveyard because of Banisher of the Radiance, which would banish the card instead. So I'm very confident that Small Roid Big City's battle effect actually cannot activate while Banisher of the Radiance is face up on the field. Nevertheless, we see 2 Book of Moon for username and the Truck Roid. Galaxy Cyclone, random pop yet again. Both cards getting banished. The Supply Squad and Truck Roid play. We're going to book the Banisher. Truck Roid attempts to hit in. However, the Quaking Mirror from userly in the back will prevent that from happening. Flip up the Banisher. And yeah, there's no way for userly to hit in over the 2k defender here. See Submarine Roid being drawn for username. Power card for the deck. Setting the Book of Moon, opting not to use it for any plays. And we go in for 800 directly. Notably, Blast with Chain could have been used here to presumably pop a few things, but we'll see how it goes on. Holding onto it isn't a terrible idea, and might be the correct play in all of this. Very, very patient play by userly, and potentially rewarded with the offerings to the Doom. Blast with Chain will be activated now. However, Book of Moon will end up punishing the play, as when you book Gearfried, Gearfried gets set, and Blast with Chain isn't properly equipped, so then you can't activate the effect of Gearfried that results when a card is equipped. And this also means Blast with Chain is not destroyed by a card effect. So by booking Gearfried here, it fully negates the combination of Blast with Chain and Gearfried. Both cards getting banished, and we will set the offerings once again. Gearfried flip back up, and Battle City Bestie will draw. Reinforcement of the army will let userly search anything they want from their deck, any warrior from their deck later on into the game. And I believe this version of the deck is the one Stevie used to recently win the Speed Duel Dungeon tournament, so it should have one more choice of warrior, even though it might not be relevant to this matchup for quite a while. Once again, at this point, we'll be seeing Submarine Roid attempting to hit, switching itself to defense. We draw another Gearfried, activate Rhoda. DD Warrior Lady as well can be added. And DD Warrior Lady will be set, interestingly. So that's a very, very curious play. So with Battle City Bestie, you do not take battle damage on your own turn. I'm surprised DD Warrior Lady does not attempt to attack the Truck Raid here. The Truck Raid, as it stands currently, is preventing a lot of the aggressive pressure from Userly, but Userly opts in for a slower play and chooses two offerings, the Submarine Roid, presumably. Also choosing two offerings the Submarine Roid after setting the DD Warrior Lady. I think some mistakes on the ordering there, and let's see how this plays out. Yes, and we'll see the Sol and Luna come out, which at this point confirms that there is no back row protection. However, the DD Warrior Lady had been set. Potentially, with the DD Warrior Lady here, a play could have been made where Userly chooses to banish and get rid of one of those two monsters. Alright, let's see how this continues. Battle City Bestie keeps on drawing, two Gearfrieds in hand. The hand not looking amazing here for Userly. Username drawing Steamroid. Summon both, switch Submarine Roid to attack. Hitting into the Banisher, there's no way to prevent that. And then direct attack with the Submarine Roid. That is an illegal activation. Small Roid Big City can only activate when the Roid battles an opponent's monster. It cannot activate during a direct attack. So, let's see. The players don't resolve it. Good. Yeah, that is not a legal activation of Small Roid Big City. Submarine Roid will continue for its direct attack and will hit in for 800. So we'll see the Gearfried summon and the DD Warrior Lady flipped up. And the DD Warrior Lady will attempt to hit into the Submarine Roid here, as the damage is getting quite dangerous and there could be potential game present on the board next turn depending on what username here draws. Just as a reminder, it is possible to use Small Roid Big City to pop any face-up card you control and search for any road of your choice. So both will get banished, and also Steamroid will be beat over. And the draw will be a Quaking Mirror Force, and Battle City Bestie draws as well. Both players being able to easily rack up card advantage. Let's see here. The Book of Moondraw isn't something meaningful. Okay, we will pop the Supply Squad to search for a Roid, and Mixer Roid is the Roid of choice. Let's see what plays we will be going with this. Seems like it's just going to be a hitting in for 2.2. On Declaration, there doesn't seem a response, so we get to mill a Roid and change our attack to 2.2. And interestingly, milling Express Roid. I wonder if it's better to mill Mixer Roid here, but with a good Roid like your Submarine Roid being banished, it's a difficult choice on what to select. So, Userly, with their backs against the wall, 500 life points remaining, but nevertheless a game ahead. We'll summon another Gearfried, set 2, and we'll choose to pass. Steamroid drawn, and will be summoned. Username will attempt to go for a game, but will be stopped by both effects. And even if this attack connects... Oh, interestingly, Userly will opt to enemy controller to stop the attack here. Interesting. They would have survived with just enough life points to play the game. And I don't think this last draw is going to do much. We're just going to set the Banisher, but for some reason not changing their Gearfried to defense. Username should just be able to hit into the Gearfried for game. And we go on to game number 3. Alright, let's see how this set finishes up. Alright, starting hand for Username, we got Galaxy Cyclone, Book of Moon, Truckroid, and Sphere. And for Userly, we have the Banisher, we have the Patchy, we have the Kunai, and the Gearfried. So Patchy is an interesting choice. I believe it is in the main deck for the deck Userly is running. However, even though we have seen the Mixeroid on Username, it doesn't appear like Username has attempted to resolve the Mixeroid game plan in this matchup. So I'm very surprised to see Patchy staying in through the side deck, especially since I believe that the Banisher is in the side originally. So I'm curious what was substituted for the Banisher. He said pass on the side of Username. A great opening hand by Userly, actually. We're setting the Rhoda here, perhaps trying to bait out some random spell or trap removal. We've seen Username being pretty trigger happy with these Galaxy Cyclones. Not always a bad thing in certain matchups, of course. And we will see the Gearfried hit into the Truckroid. However, no damage, of course, because of Bestie, and the turn will be passed. The draw is the Quaking Mirror Force here, a card that has become increasingly popular since the ban list, removing some of the most aggressive decks in the game, and especially making dice less prevalent. And we see here the Galaxy Cyclone does pop the correct random back row. So now the last piece of back row is a dead Rhoda. The Truckroid will be switched to attack and will hit in, and this should not be able to be stopped. So Truckroid will go ahead, this time milling Mixeroid. So perhaps slowly moving towards resolving that strategy, and the Truckroid here should be able to beat over the Gearfried and take the card and equip it to itself, increasing its attack power. So this is looking like a difficult situation here. However, since the Rhoda is available, I assume we'll see Userly pop the Rhoda. Oh, interesting, doesn't pick Gearfried. So in the face of 2 back row, I guess Userly might be worried about Book of Moon and the souls that we've seen come out from Username's side, because with setting Blast, I thought they would gravitate towards that Red Eyes Gearfried, but instead we will see the Warrior Lady picked up, perhaps hoping for an immediate removal of the Truckroid. However, Book of Moon will indeed be activated, setting the Warrior Lady. Interesting choice to use Quaking Mirror Force. Perhaps Username is hoping to be able to bait a larger board, especially when you see the Rhoda being committed to the Warrior Lady. I mean, I think it's reasonable to assume your opponent has a Gearfried in hand then, but I also think it doesn't make much sense to play around, well, what if that back row is Blast with Chain? But with how many equip traps we've seen ran by Userly, I would think you'd want to keep the Book of Moon to disrupt back row removal. So, very interesting choice by Username. Let's see if it ends up having any effect on the outcome of the match. So we see another Galaxy Cyclone going in and popping the Blast with Chain. Thinking on Username's side. Summoning the Sphere Karibo in order to pop it face up. I'm not sure why Userly reacted with Thinking. I'm not sure if there's anything that you could use to respond to that. And sadly, Drillroid cannot be summoned this turn since the normal summon was used on Sphere Karibo, but Drillroid definitely threatening to beat over any defensive monster, and of course, Drillroid can destroy DD Warrior Lady. So the offerings to the Doom has been drawn, and offerings Kunai set. Okay, so the players are verifying that when Banisher is up, the activation for the battle effect of the Roid skill cannot be activated. We see DD Warrior Lady hitting in, but here the Quaking Mirror Force does indeed manage to snag more profit, hitting a much larger board, and both of these cards will be set. And of course, Bestie always draws. Submarine Roid off the top for Username here. With two Quaking cards, that is a great draw. But instead, Username opts to play the Drillroid. So the question is he trying to bait some removal from Userly? Or is there some other strategy taking place here? And Userly will go ahead and use the Kunai on Drillroid. And the offerings will also be used on the truck roid, which means the submarine roid now has free reign to be dropped next turn. And it looks like usually will lock themselves in a board without a Gearfried. Let's see if that comes back to bite them. And the supply squad off the top for username, still not summoning the submarine roid. Perhaps being very overly cautious in this case, I would argue. So I think this turn it was reasonable to actually use small roid big city to pop drill roid, search for another roid of your choice, right? Building the graveyard here to 3. Not to mention that we didn't see a mill coming out, so I think that's a small misplay. Even though drill roid attacks, so drill roid activates before damage calculation, but the skill is on declaration, so you should actually still be able to mill, even if you do end up destroying with drill roid's effect. So very interesting turn. I'm curious why the submarine roid didn't drop, but nevertheless, perhaps still trying to bait out more cards from his opponent. But let's see how this plays out. So the enemy controller will be drawn and will be set, and that's going to be the turn for Userly. Will we see the submarine roid finally come out? And perhaps playing around, quaking, we have finally seen the drill roid switch to defense. The submarine roid is out. And even though the drill roid is being switched to defense, it's still not being popped to generate value from small roid big city. It doesn't prevent you from adding the same roid, right? Yeah, so you could literally pop drill roid, add drill roid, just to mill 1, and then also, like, send the drill roid to grave, and then just also draw from supply squad. Nevertheless, we'll see the submarine roid hidden, and Userly will let that through, switches itself to defense, and finally we will have a Banisher drawn. Userly will opt into summoning for that, not waiting for a Gearfried instead, perhaps attempting to stop the skill. And we will see the Quaking set for username, hitting once again in with the submarine roid. The Gearfried is finally drawn on Userly, but they are board locked and are unable to summon it, so it looks like a big stalemate here. Once again, we see the submarine roid hidden, and we will see this time enemy controller being activated to destroy a card and attempt to presumably steal the submarine roid. Yep. So it will be brought over. Yep, the cards need to get banished because we have Banisher on field. I assume this is to create space for the Gearfried and perhaps keep the submarine roid in attack in an attempt to beat over it. We will see Quaking drawn by Userly and setting the Banisher to defense, hitting in with the Gearfried. Will username use the Quaking here? He will. That sets the Gearfried and once again pretty much board locks Userly. And I think at this point it's also noteworthy to talk about the remaining cards in each player's deck. We see Userly only on 6 cards and being forced to draw with Desti. Here's a really interesting tech, Absolute Crusader. Definitely not intended for this matchup, but I think it was a great call by Stevie to include this in the WAB deck. It's just really, really interesting and basically goes 1 for 1 with the important summon of pretty much every meta deck. So sadly, Absolute Crusader will not be able to shine in this matchup, and we see Submarine Roid finally getting Quaking. Oh, and username will choose to chain the soul by putting Submarine Roid, by setting Submarine Roid before the resolution of Quaking Mirror Force. It is not permanently set, basically, by Quaking. There's some lag, Banisher gets set. Submarine Roid also gets set. Both cards banished. Oh no, they're not, because Banisher just got set. Okay. Let's see, Userly is at 4 cards remaining in the deck. I wonder if they will be able to get out of this one. Once again, doesn't really commit to any play. We see Awaking the Dragon, drawn by username, notoriously one of my favorite cards. You know, you win by it, you lose by it. And we'll finally see the Drill Roid getting popped. So let's say what will be pulled. The Steam Roid will be added, but sadly, now that Banisher is on the field, the Drill Roid doesn't end up going to grave. Right? And we'll see the Steam Roid set. Looks like username might be playing for the deck out here. Once again, Userly is board locked. Looks like we are approaching that imminent deck out. Both players passing, 2 cards left for userly. Will they be able to mount any type of comeback? And they will get booked. I think the idea behind this play is that userly has shown enemy controller in a previous game. Doesn't have it around this time. I believe it's banished, right? So by having both monsters set, there is no valid target for enemy controller. So it's not possible for userly to use enemy controller to pop a card and steal something. However, I don't think userly has. Actually, we know userly doesn't have another enemy controller. Since we're spectating, we can see the Book of Moon, the DD Warrior Lady, and the enemy controller being the 3 ofs this player has chosen to run. So even though this play is really great, I don't think it actually ends up mattering. And being forced to draw with the bestie as well, through that Book of Moon activation. And looks like this is going to be it for userly. Set the other Book of Moon. Set 3. This is basically an impossible board to overcome. And userly will concede the game. So there actually is a rematch of this set, but I also recognize this video is nearing 26, I mean it already is 26 minutes. So I think I'm going to call it here. I hope you all enjoyed, and let me know if you'd be interested in longer videos. So like, if a match like this does go to a rematch and there's another 2 to 3 games, would you like to see the full rematch? Would you only like to see just the best of 2? Sorry, excuse me, the best of 3 first to 2, right? Do you think I spend too long analyzing some plays? Would you like me to spend even longer analyzing some plays? Please let me know. I'm very open to feedback, and I'm very happy to hear what everyone has to say. I hope you enjoyed, and yeah, keep on playing Speed Duels. Great format. Have a good day, everyone.